Hi, how are you?
Hi, Cade. So wonderful to see you. How are you doing?
Yeah, good, good. How are you? How are things
I'm
there?
really good. Thanks.
It's like so incredibly hot and sunny here in Berlin.
Yeah,
Finally,
here as
so
well.
it's
They
beautiful.
said it was going to rain, but it's just tropical heat for the whole day. So
Yeah.
you hear some noise. We're in the city center. All terraces are open. There's a lot of people on the street, and
How
it's
good is that, though? How nice is that?
yeah, I'm not really used to that anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
So thanks for joining us
I mean, of
for
course. Thank you for having me.
for all the people watching us. Thank you for joining us as well. I hope you enjoyed the show or the talk. So just let me introduce myself. I'm Ted. So my name is Kurt. I'm the co-founder of Smell Stories, which is a perfume store in the city center of Brussels, Belgium. And today we have the honor of talking to Ted Yong-in, who is the founder of the brand AER. This is the box. So this is the brand probably, but this is how it looks like. Based in Berlin. You have more of them actually lined up in front of me here. So you founded AER, I think it was in 2017, 2008, yeah. More or less, something.
Just over 3 years ago now. Yeah.
3 years ago. So, almost something to celebrate.
Yeah.
But before that, you already had a career, of course. You worked for other companies as art director. I think the last one was art director for Gucci and Yves Saint Laurent.
Yeah, I worked. Yeah, I mean, I spent my career working in fashion. I worked for back then it was called the Gucci Group.
Yeah.
Under Tom Ford. Actually, we helped launch a few of the big famous Gucci perfumes, Gucci Rush for Men and Gucci Bohème, and.
Okay. You knew already a bit of launching perfumes and working in the perfume industry then.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I was watching your LinkedIn profile this afternoon. So there is a lot about your career, your past career, your current career, but there was also a quote that struck me. I will just quote it. He spent his youth in nightclubs and music venues where he developed a healthy appreciation for the underground culture. So,
yeah.
Not something that you usually find on a LinkedIn profile. Does that mean that when you were younger that you were the bad boy, the rebel?
I don't know. Bad boy and rebel is sort of a weird word, but I think I spent my life enjoying myself.
Okay. Taking the best out of life has to offer. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you still? Have you still kept this attitude?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I work incredibly hard, and I think also that it's important to have a balance in your life. So yeah, work and play should both be equally fun and equally enriching.
Okay. Also something that characterizes the AER brand?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I guess AER has always been about this idea of contrast and tension and balance between well, like traditionally masculine and feminine, or traditionally pretty and not so pretty. Like, you know, we try to balance this idea of heavy and ugly and light and transparent and beautiful.
Okay. So it always, sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can really see that. I was wondering, now you're your own boss, you have your own brand. Before that, you worked in other companies. Was it like a liberating feeling? Could you more be yourself or put more of yourself in the brand than what you did before? Or?
Yeah, I mean, that was exactly why I started the brand. For me, it was about, let me turn this down a little bit. It's kind of loud in my ear. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, I spent my life working for other companies and for making sure that that everyone else was making huge profits off of the work that I did, and never really doing something that I thought was exactly how I wanted to do it. You know, doing it with the kind of I don't know, getting everything exactly right and getting everything so that there wasn't compromises all the way along, and it wasn't a commercial enterprise. It was something that was done for a bit of passion. And yeah, I think that's something you can only do when you work for yourself, right? So
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I mean, you know all about that.
Now, you founded the brand because you love perfume, of course. And you also mentioned that you didn't find the perfect scent on the market. So what was missing for you then on the market? If you...
Yeah, I mean, again, this idea, this healthy appreciation of the underground. I wanted something that was like obviously incredibly beautiful and original and well constructed, but also fair trade, ethical, natural, and that didn't really exist. Or if it did, it wasn't quite. There's a lot of natural perfumes out there that are very kind of. I mean, when you think of natural perfume, you always think of something that's like roses and lavender and that kind of idea, and that's not me, and that's not what I was looking for. I was looking for something that had this kind of like this power, this intensity, this kind of this strong perspective, and so
So the only way to get that was to make your own.
To make our own, yes, exactly that.
I have the whole range in front of me here. I think that's the first one. Number one was the Nagarmotha, which in fact, this one was in fact the perfume that was created for yourself.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's yours, let's say, signature scent, maybe.
Exactly, yeah. It's been revised a little bit over the years, but yeah, it was originally constructed. That was the perfume that we started the brand with, and it was the idea was to find something that was like not like other brands that were out there, and I think that we accomplished that. I always think when I smell air scents that they don't smell like other perfumes.
That's true. They are different and unique, I would say. Yeah. But at the time when you had the first perfume, the Nagarmotha, you already knew that you were going to launch the brand Air and put it on the market. It was not that you just created something for yourself and then people started liking it, and then from one thing came another.
No, the idea. I mean, I'll be really frank with you. So a part of it is that I moved from London to Berlin with my husband, and as we talked about in London, I had this career working for fashion houses and for Habitat and for all these kind of big brands, and I moved here, and there just isn't that really that level of. That doesn't operate here. Berlin is not this place where these large companies start. So I thought, okay, well, I can either spend my life doing freelance work or I can start something here. And I was really looking for, a platform, I guess, or an idea to create something, and that's.
Okay.
The perfumes came, and I thought, I really have this love of perfume, this really idea of creating something that doesn't exist so far in perfuming, or that I haven't seen in perfuming, and. Yeah.
And can you tell me a bit more about? I will just spray some on, just as a reminder for myself.
About Nagarmotha?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I'll spray some.
Very first one. Yeah.
Actually, oops. I actually have Exhibit A, which is a big chunk of Nagarmotha.
Okay. Yeah, because I was going to ask you. Okay, yeah. Because it's like it's a riverbank grass, and they use the roots to make the perfume. I think.
Yeah, exactly. So this is how it comes. It's obviously this is dried Nagarmotha, so we use it. So let me take it back a few steps. So Nagarmotha is a grass that grows in India. It's a riverbank grass, as you said. As you can see, the roots grow like normally straight down instead of going outwards. So it's a very difficult grass to kind of harvest. So it has to be hand harvested. Mostly it's either wild harvested or I guess these farms that basically take over wild areas and kind of rejuvenate them. So ours comes from like one of these farms. It's actually a women's collective in Madhya Pradesh. So that's what it looks like. So you have to obviously dig down underneath to get the roots, and you have to make sure you take out the root ball without destroying too much. It's a grass. So it's a really tall grass also. And it smells a lot like vetiver. Like it's quite close.
Yeah,
it's quite
is it related to vetiver because that's also a grass and they use the roots? So it's
yeah. I mean, it has I guess a lot of these grasses have very very similar molecule compositions, but. It does smell a bit like vetiver, but I think it's much richer. It's a little bit like vetiver if it was the roots of patchouli, maybe.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And it's a really rare ingredient. It used to be quite popular, but I mean, I guess it's been kind of replaced by vetiver and patchouli, which are much easier to harvest, much easier to grow.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, that's one of the things about AER. I think we always seem to never take the easy way out. So taking these kind of rare ingredients or maybe more difficult to handle ingredients is kind of
and to create the perfume. So do you get the Nagarmotha like you showed it now, and then do you have to make?
No. I mean, to be fully frank, we get our oils. Do I have a bottle here? Yeah, let me just grab one.
Yeah, okay.
So this is a very, very small bottle, but we get everything in bottles. So we don't do the extraction ourselves. The extraction actually it doesn't have to, but we prefer if the extraction takes place on site, because then it actually, firstly, the ingredients are fresher, and secondly, it gives, like the whole industry should happen at the place of harvesting, because then it's not like we're stripping away commerce from that area. You know, like that area benefits fully from growing these things. So they plant it, they harvest it, they extract it, and they benefit fully commercially from. They're able to fully exploit that crop, which I think is important.
That's one of the core elements also of the AER brand. I would say that we pay a lot of attention to fairly traded products, to
that's important.
Ingredients. So I guess that must be a big part of the job as well, to find where to source the ingredients, to see how they work, to see if it's fairly traded or not.
Yeah, exactly. That's something we spend a lot of time.
Yeah.
I mean, for us, you know, when I started the brand, one of the things I kept thinking was, well, does the world really need another perfume brand? And probably not, you know, really actually.
Quite
So we thought, well, if we're going to do it, then it has to be done right, and it has to be done like kind of without compromise, and also without like without a huge footprint. You know, like something that at night when I go to bed, I can feel proud of the work. You know, be proud of the product, proud of everything, not feel like I've you know, that I'm contributing to some awfulness in the world. Like I think that's quite important.
That's kind of the message that you want to spread with the brand as well, then probably.
Yeah, exactly. So it's we do spend a lot of time researching ingredients, making sure that they're from you know, sustainable harvests, and they're the people that are you know, everyone involved in the entire process is happy with being involved in the process and well compensated for their work.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I remember when we first got in contact that you told me the story behind the number 3, the Ambre.
Yeah.
How you work together with local communities. Yeah.
So our Styrax comes from a Honduran rainforest, and it's so Styrax is it's the sap of a tree. So like it's I mean, it's an amber, a tree resin. And the way you harvest it is you climb up the tree, and you put a little cut into the tree, and the tree, in order to heal that cut, creates this resin. So it creates this like tree sap, basically, that kind of a bit like a scar on skin. It kind of covers over your skin. So that's what the tree is trying to do, essentially. And all this goo that comes out is incredibly beautiful smelling. So that's Styrax. And there's a tribe in the Honduran rainforest called the Pecha people, and they harvest Styrax, and that's what they've done for generations and generations, and that's where ours comes from.
Wow.
And I think it's it's an honor to be a part of that process, you know? I mean, that's something which has existed for, you know, millennia, and it's not...
Culture and traditions that you
exactly.
make contemporary perfumes.
Yeah.
It's combining those two elements.
That's something which we thought was, you know, I mean, that's kind of a bit of the core value of AER, is to find something that, you know, the way we make perfume, it's very traditional. It's like, you know, like someone from the 18th century would recognize all of the techniques we use.
Really?
And you know, perfume is not a particularly, with the way we make perfume, there's no innovation at all, basically. It's all old ingredients extracted really traditionally. We only use these first degree extractions, so there's not even like this. I mean, there's some CO2 extractions and that sort of thing, of course, but yeah, and the mixing and the maceration is all done the way it would have been 100 years ago.
So you did have to do a lot of research then to track down this whole tradition of the ancient way of perfume making.
I mean, let me tell you. So when we first started, first off, making perfume is fun, but it's not particularly complex. It's essentially, once you've had the recipe, it's essentially following a recipe.
Yeah.
But perfume houses make it seem like it's some sort of crazy, like black magic that happens, you know, where like, I don't know, you have to like, whenever I see pictures of people in their labs, they have like all this incredible lab equipment and like lab glass and like those like distillation tubes. No one distills their own. Very, very few people distill their own oils. Mm-hmm. Essentially, making perfume is not a particularly difficult process once you understand the construction of it.
Okay.
And when we started our brand, you know, we looked everywhere for the information on how to do all this stuff, and it just didn't exist. Like, perfumers want to keep all this stuff like
everything we have.
Yeah, like hidden, as though it's like all these little secrets. And for us, it was really important now to say really honestly, look, you know, this is what's in our perfume. This is how we make it. This is where it comes from. This is, you know, all this stuff. Like it's these secrets aren't secrets for a reason, except to keep other people out of the industry in some ways. So we had some really wonderful perfumers that helped us initially when we started. That were willing to share these like little secrets. And so we're you know, we make these perfume workshops, and we try to, you know, we help like young perfumers and all this sort of thing. So that's really important for us also.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So you also introduce young people who want to become a perfumer or to launch their own brand.
Yeah.
Come to you and then
Yeah. I mean, I think that's really important, is that we found it so difficult to find the information when we started, and it's really not particularly complex information. So we want to also help people with that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's also something very specific about all the perfumes, I would say, that is you don't start with a narrative, or you don't invent a story behind each perfume.
Yeah. And
before you worked as a marketeer, as an art director, so you know something about storytelling. But this is really, let's say, very straightforward. This is the brand, this is the bottle, these are all the ingredients.
Yeah.
We put one ingredient center stage. That's the story. So it's quite straightforward. Yeah. Was that a deliberate choice to make it that simple, let's say, or yeah?
I mean, again, I think it's a little bit about like transparency, I think, or stripping things back that aren't necessary. You know, like our packaging is very minimalistic. Our bottle is minimalistic. Our everything, the way we do everything is really like we create linear perfumes also in this kind of minimalistic idea. Okay. But also we really, you know, like I don't think that. Having spent my life as an art director, I shouldn't say that it's not an honest way of selling something, but it's also not really. If you're buying a perfume because you want to see, I don't know, Johnny Depp. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're not going to smell like Johnny Depp. There's no way, right? You should buy the perfume because you love the perfume. So we really wanted to focus. Look, everything we do is about the ingredients, and really. We talk about the ingredients because we know what the ingredients are. You know, I guess, you know, a lot of perfume houses don't really know what's in their own perfume. They kind of buy it bulk from various perfume houses, which is a totally valid way of making perfume. We choose to make it ourselves because we want to know exactly what everything is, where it comes from, and all that sort of thing. And we can talk about all of our ingredients. So we thought, well, this is really, let's center stage that. Let's really. Yeah, let's really make that happen and really make that the focus, because it shouldn't really be about Kate Moss running down the stairs at the opera house. It should be what the perfume smells like. Do you like the way the perfume smells? This is what makes it smell like that. Yeah.
There was just somebody asking a question. Let me see, I can still see it.
Oh, the EU cosmetics legislation.
Yeah, that's also a very fun, very fun part of having a perfume brand, probably.
Yeah, yeah. So the EU cosmetics legislation is there for a reason, obviously, and I'm happy it is there. It's obviously after we make our perfumes, we have to get them fully tested and certified. We use a certification lab for that. You know, we make our own recipes, so we have to certify them ourselves. You know, they're not. The bigger thing is maybe talking about IFA, which I can talk about IFA for hours.
Favorite topic then? Or
Yeah, not my favorite topic at all, but if any perfumers are out there, you understand why. But yeah, the EU cosmetics laws are not particularly stringent on perfumes because obviously, you know, not a lot of things grow in perfumes, but they're a bit more difficult for cosmetic products. I mean, we started making lotions and soaps and that sort of thing during the pandemic. I'm sure we'll talk about that a bit later. But so that obviously the EU cosmetics laws come into play a lot for that, and that's sort of dealing with how long things last and blah blah blah. But perfumes, you know, nothing will ever grow in perfume, and perfumes, no matter what's in them, will last at least a couple of years. So.
Okay.
But IFRA is a whole other topic. But thanks for the question.
Talking about the narrative and the story and the putting the ingredients center stage, I think one of the first perfumes I ever smelled from the brand was Cedar, the number 4.
Yeah.
So for me, it's a really good example. I'm just not following the correct order, I think, but
yeah. I don't know if you're welcome. I don't know if you're following along at home, but it's
sounds a bit boring to me to just do 1, 2, 3, 4. But this, you read Cedar, you smell Cedar. It's like pencil shaving kinda, but you also smell the different other accompanying ingredients. So it's a really a perfume that you can read and that you can understand in some way.
Yeah, this is a really great perfume. I mean, I like to show people this perfume when we talk about how you can understand the difference between a natural perfume and a synthetic perfume. I think with number 4 Cedar, you really get all of the ingredients because you know all of the ingredients. So if anyone has number 4 Cedar at home, you can smell it and you know you can see all the different layers that are in it. You can smell the cedar, obviously. You can smell the lavender in there. You can smell the ginger, and these are things your nose. You know, these are scents that you know. So I think it's really interesting that you can kind of get all of these ingredients, but then if you don't think about it and just smell it, you smell the whole composition.
Yeah.
And that's really, you know, one of the beauties about naturals is that, you know, like, no one knows what cis-3-hexanol smells like unless you're a perfumer, but everybody knows what lavender smells like.
Yeah.
Dario Leroy just asked the question if you make perfumes at home. We actually make perfumes right there. So this is our atelier, this is our lab. And this is where we do this is where the magic happens. So we mix all of our own perfumes and we actually, mix and bottle and box it up here.
So I suppose that every new batch is not that huge. How many, if you say you're making a new batch of Cedar, what does that mean then?
Yeah, so we make batches of, 2.5 liters, which is like about 150 bottles at a time. So we're like, you know, small batch produced, hand filled, hand mixed, like long time macerated, all done by hand.
And in Berlin.
In Berlin, yeah.
Okay, great. And then because it's 100% composed of natural ingredients, does that also mean that you're a bit dependent on the harvest then probably? So could it be that a new batch is slightly different than the previous one?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
Wine that every year has a different.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
So we run into this issue occasionally where a batch is just not at all like, you know, the previous batch, and then we have to figure out, well, can we still use this? Do we have to look for ingredients from the previous batch? Can we adjust the ingredients a little bit to make the smell comparable? So we do a little bit of maneuvering within the recipe. Obviously, as someone just mentioned, the EU cosmetics law means that we can't change the recipe completely, but you can do a couple percentages here and there to adjust for the scent. But also, it's a natural product, and it will smell a little bit different. You know, every single. I mean, even you know, it will smell different according to every person that wears it. Of course, it smells different on everyone's skin, and it smells different according to the weather. You know, different heat will make different vapor pressures happen.
Exactly.
And that's kind of the fun of natural perfumes.
And you have a huge fan, I see.
So. Thank you.
I'm watching you.
Lovely.
Um,
Yeah, but we talked about like some of the issues of natural perfume. I mean, it's a lot more than that. In fact, that like yes, we're dependent on the harvest, but we're also really dependent on like the planet. You know, I mean, sometimes we work with these small producers, and actually, we worked with one particular producer that I think is they make a really beautiful ingredient, and we were really generous with people asking like, oh, where does your blah 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 come from? And we shared it with people, and now we can't buy any of their stuff because everyone else bought their harvest.
Okay.
So we don't share suppliers so much anymore. But that's a problem because they're small producers.
Okay.
And actually, we had originally at one point created a perfume that had bay rum in it, and it was a really beautiful perfume. We were just prepared to launch it. But there was a hurricane season, and I guess like a couple of years there was a hurricane season, and there was no harvest of this ingredient.
Yeah.
And so we weren't able to launch it. So we really think. I mean, I always say that like a bottle of air is like holding a bottle, so holding something that connects you to these farmers all around the world and our environment. All of this, the warming of the earth will affect, I mean, us in so many ways more than just perfume, obviously, but it will also affect, it will also affect, this bottle and everybody that has touched this bottle, everyone that's touched everything in this bottle will be affected by our environment. So we have to really be aware of that. We're not these people that live closed off from the rest of the world. Like, there is a sense of connection here, and you have to understand that.
Yeah, and in fact, all the ingredients are sourced really throughout the globe. So if you put all the bottles together, then all the different ingredients you have.
Exactly, like really from all over the world. Yeah. Yeah, I always think it's really wonderful to kind of, when I mix something, I always think, God, it's really amazing. All of these things really come from all over the world, and so many people have been part of this process.
Exactly. Yeah. Are natural ingredients more complex to work with? Because they smell more complex, I would say, than one synthetic molecule, which is very maybe straightforward.
So I think, first off, with naturals, yes. So if you have a single synthetic ingredient, it's one single smell.
Yeah.
If you have a natural ingredient, it's composed of 15, 20, 100, 150 different molecules in that create that scent.
Yeah.
So it's already much more complex. Yeah. And then the ingredients themselves are it's a natural product, so it has an expiration date. It's more sensitive. It's more it's not something which is created in a lab from petroleum that can live forever. It's it has an expiration date. It has to be kept cold. It has to be kept warm. It has to be kept out of the sun. All this kind of stuff. So yes, it's more complex to use.
And how long?
But also more beautiful.
Yeah, I think more interesting, more intriguing. I think.
Yeah, it has an energy to it. It's not just something that is. From a lab.
Is there an expiration date on the bottle, in fact?
Well, everything has to have an expiration date because of this EU cosmetics law.
Yeah.
But in the closet over there, I have a bottle of perfume that's 40 years old, and it still smells amazing. I mean, yes, some of the top notes will disappear, but basically, perfume is ethanol and oil, and none of these things are really. It's not going to go bad in the traditional sense. It will lose some of its beauty, some of its strength, but it won't. You can still use it, and it's a really beautiful perfume.
Okay, so it's a bit like wine. Some wines get better with aging.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, not all perfumes get better with age, I have to say.
That's why some disappear and then come up.
Yeah. If anyone's ever in Paris, outside of Versailles, there's a place called the Nagarmotha, and they have it's like a perfume library, and they keep all sorts of perfumes. They decant them and they keep them in nitrogen so they don't ever oxidize. So if you ever, if you're an absolute perfume lover, you can go and smell like the original Miss Dior or whatever it is.
Okay. And is that something that is open to the public, or is it only for? I thought it was only for professionals, or can?
I think it's probably only for professionals, to be honest. But I think that you can. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you can sneak your way in.
Okay.
But it's nice at least to know. I mean, I've never been myself, but it's nice to know that something like that exists. You know, that there is like a historical library of all these beautiful things that smell like they should. You know, because I mean, again, this bottle that we have here, it's 40 years old, and the top notes are completely gone. And it's, you know, it's beautiful, but I don't know if it's not how it should smell.
Yeah. Okay. And then sometimes we have customers who come in the store and say, I don't believe that there is such thing as a 100% botanical perfume.
Yeah, we have a lot of people that talk to us about that too. Our perfume is the most natural perfume that you will probably ever see. We don't use anything that's not 100% botanical, and in fact, we only use like first degree plant extractions, which means we only use like the first steam extraction from a rose, for example, or the first like resin from frankincense. We don't use ingredients that have been processed beyond that. And there's another definition of natural that you can take something and you can cut out little parts of it. You can take a natural ingredient and you can cut out little bits of it and put that into perfume. And that's usually the natural definition. That's called fractions or natural isolates. So we don't use that in air. Everything we use is a direct plant extraction. And
so
sometimes I think
they're really 100% botanical perfume.
And our ethanol even is it's a natural ethanol. It actually comes from grapes. It's a distilled ethanol. Sometimes I think I wish we were a little bit more broad about it sometimes, because it's like we absolutely painted ourselves into a corner a little bit sometimes, I think. But it's still nice to make something which I think is a really beautiful, amazing product that is, it's rare. Like, you know, if you look at our bottle, we're going to move our bottle of perfume so we're not directly in the sun.
Don't drop that.
Sorry. I wanted to make this really pretty background, and then it's
very pretty. The window and the flowers.
Right. But if you look at our bottle, our box, actually we list our full ingredients on it, and everything in there is something that you recognize. You know, I mean, or maybe you don't know exactly what, like, you know, Canago odorata is, but it's an ingredient that's, you know, like it's. They're real plants, you know. They're plant extracts. They're not molecules that are kind of weird things. We're proud of that.
Sometimes people say that natural perfumes will not last that long on your skin. Is it something? Is it a myth, or is it something that we have to deal with? Or
no, it's not a myth. A lot of naturals. I mean, naturals don't last the way synthetics do. You know, I mean. You know, my husband has a synthetic at home that he sprays it on, and I can smell it on him like 4 days later. That isn't something which naturals will do for the most part. And a lot of natural perfumes have these profiles that disappear really, really quickly. So they're not well fixed, and they don't last all day. That's a totally valid way of perfume. But for us, we wanted to have a perfume that was first a modern perfume, and second a natural perfume, so it didn't have these kind of, let's say, compromises. So we constructed ours so that they do last all day. Like I would say, I put mine on in the morning and I still smell it at night. So it has longevity, but it's you know, you can't, with a natural, you can't make something that lasts days and days and days.
Certainly,
it's just not.
And does that mean that you have to use higher concentrations from the oils, or?
I mean, that's definitely one way. That's a way that we have dealt with it to a certain degree. So all of our perfumes are perfume strength. They're really, really highly concentrated. I mean, when you spray them, you really get this bold, just like explosion of scent.
Exactly.
And it does last because it's a higher concentration of oils on your skin.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe let's talk about your the newest release. Release, in fact.
So our latest perfume is number 7 Orris root. And Orris root is a really incredibly, I mean, it's like like the princess of perfume, let's say. If Rose is the queen, Orris would be the princess. We use a really rare Tuscan Orris root, which, you know, again, it's like this hand process where it has to be so Orris, by the way, is the root of the iris flower. So this kind of flowery purple flower.
So it has a flowery aspect, but also very the woodiness around.
Exactly. So it's not the flower that's used. Again, it's the root. And the root has basically no smell when you dig it up. The flower actually has almost no smell as well. But when you put the root in the cellar, and I know this is one of these wonders of perfume. I don't know how they discovered this, but I think it's great. When you put the root in a cellar and leave it for 3 years, the natural molecules in there form irones, and the irones are what gives Orris root this really powerful. Yeah, and so it's this beautiful powdery. It has a cocoa aspect to it. It has this like earthy root aspect to it. It has a little bit of a floral aspect to it. It definitely has like this really strong, like powder.
With powdery effect.
Yeah. So
very precious ingredient. It's also a very expensive one, I guess. Then.
Yeah, it's a very expensive ingredient. I was just about to tell you the story about how they harvest it. So they hand pick it. And they take the roots, and the roots look a little bit like ginger, let's say, when it's harvested. And then you have to, before you put it in the cellar, you have to peel it. So I've never been there, but I guess in Tuscany, after the harvest, you can see all these old men in the city, in the town squares, peeling the Orris fruit and getting it ready for the cellar. It's cellar phase.
And then they just are kept there for 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think there is this sweet spot where you can keep it there for. I mean, you know, obviously the more it ages, the more irones develop. But there is this point where you know, you start losing some of the other volatiles. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, it's a really nice one. When I first smelled it, it was.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's really
for everyone who likes perfume. Trying your perfume is also. Developing your nose and really understanding how a natural ingredient really smells like. And most of our customers, it's always a surprise that they say, "Oh, I had no idea that amber smelled like your amber."
Yeah,
it's a different image about amber because most perfumes on the market are sweeter or softer, maybe have an amber feeling, but this is the real stuff, you know. So that and most people are not really used to that. So, sometimes it's a challenge for people to say, wow, I didn't know that this was what it is. And I think,
we get that a lot. Like when people come to the lab and they, you know, I always ask people like, oh, what's your favorite ingredient? And, you know, so many people say, I mean, neroli is one that everybody says, oh, I love the way neroli smells. But if you actually smell neroli, it's not that great. I mean, it's a nice ingredient, but it's really soapy. It's only nice if you mix it with other things to bring out the aspects to it. But everyone thinks, oh, neroli is this incredibly beautiful rose or orange flower. It is that, but it's only that in the hands of a good perfumer, you know. And that's again one of these wonders of our society, where people don't really know what. I mean, even cedar, you know, people don't really know what cedar smells like. So you know,
but the same that people don't know anymore if they buy, I don't know, meat in the shop, that they don't really know that there is a cow or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's totally like the things that we purchase are totally divorced from where they come from, or from how they're harvested, or from all of that.
And another thing that's very characteristic, and you mentioned it already in the beginning, is that your perfumes are very modern and also very bold, powerful. So no compromises, not the soft, sweet, flowery perfumes. And I think that if I want to convince someone about that, then I think the number 2, the second release, is the most fiery one, the Cade.
Yeah.
Can you tell a bit more about the Cade, what that exactly is?
Sure. So Cade, Cade in English, Cade is juniper tar, and it's like the tar from the bark of a really old species of juniper tree. And it really smells more or less like a campfire smells in the morning, you know, after it's kind of like smoldered a little bit. And that's a really Yeah, it's something like, maybe you've heard the word like Russian leather, which is like kind of a, I don't know, like a perfume myth, I guess, in a way. I mean, it's an actual product, but it actually is like this myth of like what Russian leather smells like. Russian leather actually smells the way it smells because of Cade.
Okay.
So when you talk about a leather perfume, you're talking about these smoky animalic perfumes, usually with a little bit of vanilla for sweetness, because otherwise it's too like in your face. We wanted something that was really in your face.
In your face.
So this is a you would call this like a leather bourbon kind of perfume, and it's quite powerful. It's quite strong. Again, it's a no compromise, smoky.
Also a bit of a key note, almost.
Yeah, exactly. I always think of like kind of sitting on a leather chair enjoying a whiskey.
Yeah,
that's Cade.
Next to the fireplace.
Yeah.
Would you say that this is then maybe something more wintry, or don't you believe in?
Well, again, I mean, it's kind of, it's kind of what you want. We encourage people to really, do what you like with perfume. Like there's not a right or a wrong way to wear perfume, or right or a wrong way to spray it, or right or wrong time for it. If you want to wear a big bold perfume in the summertime, wear a big bold perfume in the summertime. If you want to wear like a light perfume in the winter, that's great. Do it. We also, our perfumes are not gendered, because I think plants aren't gendered. If you like it, wear it. If it makes you happy, then great. Wear it for yourself, not for other people.
I think that's one of the most important things about perfume. It has to make you feel good, or make you,
exactly.
Yeah, that's the main reason why you put it on. Because otherwise, it doesn't have a different function. I would say probably. Yeah.
I mean, going into this kind of like, well, we're not quite going into this post-COVID period, but in this, as we move into the world, like as we move back into the world, I guess it is. Like, I always think of perfume as like this thing that you wear around you that is either something that protects you, like a suit of armor. Like some perfumes are really this kind of like, don't come near me, I'm wearing this cloud of perfume, or something that invites people into your space.
Exactly.
And I think that hopefully these air perfumes are one of these perfumes that invites people in, and that can kind of, I mean, I don't want to make this sound too cheesy, but maybe help kind of like heal this idea that everybody is like potentially infectious, that we can have human contact again, and that we can get back to, that we can enjoy each other's company and
exactly.
share our energy spaces again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you said earlier on that during the whole lockdown period that you started making cosmetics and soaps. Can you?
Yeah, I mean, basically, in March, our sales just completely stopped because all the stores closed down.
Yeah.
And we were like, what are we going to do? So we started making hand sanitizer at first. And actually, that saved our business. Like Corona was really hard, like really, I'm sure for you as well, but
exactly,
it was ridiculously hard.
You still have some.
Yeah.
Customers really waiting for it because it was so amazing.
Yeah. So we made this really beautiful hand sanitizer, which I think everybody was spraying all this stuff on your hands that's really like awful and horrible and stank. Like So we made something that was a bit more perfumey and beautiful, so that the process wasn't. Was enjoyable. I think that's something that. And we started making lotion and soap as well. So we make that on a kind of a private label sort of function. I think like that's one of those things that, like, again, with anything, with people or companies or societies, the test of a society is how you get through these hard times. Do you evolve and change and grow and work together with other people to get through it, or do you kind of like stay stalled and not move
because the brand exists for 3 years now, so one of the years was the COVID year, so
not our finest year, but actually I mean, I have to say I'm kind of proud that we got through it the way we did. We could have gone bankrupt, but we didn't. We persevered. We made something work, and we're back.
Okay. Yeah, because there is a lot of myth about having a perfume brand, launching a perfume. So it's like this glamorous world, but I think when it comes down to business, there are more challenges than just creating a beautiful perfume and putting it on the market. It's
totally, I spend very little time drinking champagne at parties. You know, it's all, it's you know, I mean, if you have a brand out there, or if you want to start a perfume brand, you should do it.
Okay.
But do it properly, and don't think that it's going to be easy, because it won't be. But if you have a passion for it, like, you know, the world needs beautiful things. I think, especially now, you know,
Totally. Yeah.
It's a wonderful thing to make perfume. It's a real honor to be able to do it, and to be in stores like yours, like wonderful stores all around the world. And yeah, but it's definitely not easy.
What one thing of advice would you give to somebody who is now watching us and thinking about launching his own brand, or what advice would you give?
I mean, I think don't do it unless you have an absolute passion for it, because it's going to be hard. But if you want to do it, then you should totally do it. I think that's really, you know, like, follow your dreams. And I think that in the world, we can spend all of our time doing what the world expects of us, or doing what will, I don't know, finding the easy way, or you can do something which you feel, which, you know, every day when I walk into this facility, I think, God, I love it here. I feel proud of being here. I feel proud of my brand. I feel proud of, you know, where we are. And that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, more people should feel like that. Like, I don't.
Of course.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure you feel exactly the same way with your store. You know, you've created something really beautiful and amazing and special, and you know, that's what life should be about. Is like
yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So how do you look at the future now? Well, in a couple of years, or
I think that. You know, we've reached this kind of level where we have a bit of recognition now, which is really, really wonderful. I think that we're probably going to, you know, I mean, again, like, we're not rich, we're not selling like billions and billions of bottles, and I think that probably the next phase for AER will be to, you know, to expand our commerciality a little bit, to expand our reach a bit, to release a few more perfumes that are maybe a little bit more commercial without losing our what makes us special. I think you know, we can do this wonderful handmade 100% natural perfumes and still you know, have a couple bestsellers, let's say. I mean, I'm actually, you know, COVID, like this whole like past year and a half has been incredibly difficult, but also like exciting, you know, like I think we reinvented this brand in a way, and I feel like I'm in a kind of a new phase of appreciating like perfume and air and you know, heading this brand into something which is like really exciting, actually. So.
And are you working on new things now? Because you just released the Orris route, or
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that's also one of the things that, like, if you have a brand, you always have to be working on new things and you know, finding ways to make it exciting for yourself. So yes, we're working on a few new scents. Yeah. Watch this space.
I certainly will. Okay. I don't know if there are other people that had questions, because now it's the moment, I would say. A lot of people already had a few questions that we answered. I had prepared some questions, but I think almost everything that I wrote down, we've talked about. That's good. Maybe just the last one. The white pepper, which was number 5.
Yeah. So white pepper is a really interesting perfume. Actually, we call it white pepper, but
there are different kinds of pepper inside.
Yeah. There's white pepper. There's black pepper. So white pepper is just black pepper without the shell. There's pink peppercorn in here.
Yeah.
But actually, what you're smelling, mostly the pepper part of it that you're smelling is actually from elemi, which is a resin.
It's also
Which strangely has a more peppery smell than pepper does.
okay.
White pepper is this really weird ingredient that is really animalic, but animalic is kind of a nice way of saying like it basically smells like horse manure. It's really
Okay.
almost unpleasant when you smell it, and you have to really get through the different layers to understand the depth and the complexity and the interestingness in it.
Okay.
Yeah, so white pepper has this real animalic, like sexiness, I guess, and we kind of contrasting that with like this kind of almost supporting the kind of like animalicness with this kind of hay from Immortel, and then trying to get a little bit of the floralness in there without making it too sweet, still keeping it really dry. So it's really interesting perfume. It's a fougère, but it's a modern fougère.
Yeah. I think most of the perfumes have this kind of dryness. There's not a lot of sweetness.
Yeah.
Even the Ylang, which is then the more floral one, which is an opulent flower.
Yeah.
Still has this kind of dryness around it. Yeah.
Exactly.
And there's another question coming: how do you get your ideas when you're starting to work on a new perfume?
Okay, that's a nice question. So butterflies ask where to get ideas. So for air, it's always about we always use the ingredients as a starting point. Yeah. So it's always about finding an incredible ingredient that we think is like, wow, this is fantastic. This smells so incredible. The world has to understand this smell. Okay. So when we find an ingredient, we test lots of ingredients. We get lots of samples sent to us, and when we find something that's absolutely amazing, we think this has to be the center of a new perfume.
Okay.
And then we make sure that we build what we think is special about that ingredient, but obviously trying to find things that are different than what other people find. So Ylang is a really good example of that. So Ylang is really traditionally a very feminine, girly, almost 80s feeling kind of old school perfume ingredient, and that always gives this kind of like chic French vibe. So our Ylang is not that at all. So we instead of the kind of the pretty florals, the indolic white flower, we chose to focus a little bit more on the fattiness of Ylang, the heaviness, and the kind of almost Christmas spice aspect. So it has like kind of like some cinnamon, cassia bark in there, and I think that that makes it kind of fun. How many iterations does it take?
Yeah.
So with our new perfume, Orris Root, I think we made over 200 versions of it before we got exactly right.
Wow.
Which is too much. But it's one of those things that like it's you can keep working on something and keep working on it and 1 degree less of this or 1% less of this, 2% more of that. How does this and this? What about if you add this? And sometimes there's just never an ending point. You just think like, God, it can be a little bit better, but is it really going to be amazing if we spend another like 6 months working on this, or is this the product and we are happy with this? It's about trying to find that point where you think,
where you stop and say this.
Because I'm a bit of a perfectionist and nothing is ever done because nothing's ever perfect. So.
Okay, so you're kind of a perfectionist then as well.
Yeah, I'm kind of a perfectionist. How do you know when it's done? When you can't bear to work on it any longer, then it's. I don't know. When you create something that you think is amazing, everything at some point needs. We're not creating art. We're not creating. We're creating something beautiful, but at the end of the day, it's a commercial product, and you have to understand that, like. Your sense of perfection is different than everyone else's, and you have to create something that's going out into the world that maybe is your baby, but is also something which you're prepared to offer to other people.
Exactly. That's really nice. You put it really in a nice way. And I think on that note, maybe it's about time to, if there are not any questions, that we could wrap up. So, it was a really interesting talk.
Thank you so much.
So I hope that one day you will be able to visit us in Brussels.
Yeah, definitely. That's the plan. And let me just also say that, like, I mean, I'm sure people are watching from all over the place. Like, I think stores like yours are so important and so vital and so special. And really, like, when you're buying perfume, I think that it's really important to support these small stores. Your store is incredible. You've really handpicked the most beautiful perfumes, and all of your selection is really, really wonderful. And I think that you've done an incredible job. Stores like yours are so important in perfuming, and I really encourage people to really, you know, every single city and every single town has an independent perfumer in it. Go there and find something really special that's an amazing perfume that you never smelled before. Perfume is a beautiful art, and it's really great to support small stores and small brands.
Thank you so much, and I hope that everybody has been listening and everyone has understood our message. And we are honored to be able to present your brand in Brussels and in Belgium.
Lovely, thank you. Yeah, I feel really, I love working with you. You know that. So, okay. Well, thanks so much, and I really appreciate it
very much. Thank you very much, Tess. Thank you very much, everybody who has been listening.
Yeah, thank you for listening.
Recorded, so people who had there's somebody at the door. So excuse me. People who didn't have the time to watch right now on the live, I will put it online afterwards, so people can still watch the interview. Yeah,
perfect.
For thanking us. So thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Enjoy the rest of the evening. See you. Bye.
Bye bye.